Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled AITAH for making my husband's groomswoman wear a wig or be disinvited from our wedding. My boyfriend asked me to marry him 2 months ago. To give a little background, I met him at a farmer's market when I was 18 and he was 26. We are now 24 and 32. We've been together for a little over 5 years and I'm very happy with him. Now, to the story, my fiance's friend Brittany has been friends with him since they were in elementary school. Throughout our early dating days, I expressed that I was not a fan of this woman. There are many reasons for this, such as our lack of common interests and our absolutely polar opposite moral codes, but the main reason was her interest in embarrassing me and my fiance, possibly because she likes him. When we were first starting to go on dates, she showed up and tried to invite herself along because he had told their mutual friend group chat where he was taking me. She then decided to go to the same restaurant and tried to make a scene about him cheating on her, claiming she was heartbroken. It escalated very quickly and ended with me asking the manager to have her trespassed as she was delusional and neither my date nor I wanted her around. This sort of situation happened 3 more times, even going as far as showing up at his grandparents' house to stop me from meeting his family. At that point, I made it clear to him that if anything like that were to happen again, I'd be out of there. He completely understood and agreed with me wholeheartedly. He convinced his friend group to limit communication about Brittany with him because she was acting weird around him, and they all understood and disagreed with her actions. He had extremely low contact with her after that point, and I learned years later that she had undergone major therapy, even checking herself into a mental hospital and going on medication to address these unhinged personality traits. Around 4 years later, they reconnected through a mutual friend's birthday party we were all attending, and she genuinely seemed to have changed personality-wise from the person I had met 5 years ago. We still didn't agree on most things, but she apologized for the way she had acted previously and owned up to all the BS she had tried to pull with him. So I kept my guard up, but encouraged my fiance to be friends with her again. I'm not friends with her, but I am friendly towards her. Skipping to now, I have been planning this wedding basically since I was born. The wedding will not happen for another 2 years. The theme is supposed to be similar to a D&D style fantasy, a Renaissance wedding with blue, orange, and red as the basic color scheme. Most of the wedding will be held outside at a local state park, but part of it will be indoors. Specifically, the cake and food will be cut and served inside, as well as some of the guest photos. This is the important part. I have a personal friend, Bree, who takes professional pictures at Renaissance festivals across the US. Her job involves traveling around the country to Ren fairs and taking pictures for certain venues. It's a very cool job and I love seeing the pictures. However, she does editing for some of these venues using a green screen to make the backgrounds look more aesthetic, or to completely change the scenery behind the people in the photo. For example, she has shown me mock-ups in the past featuring silly people in costumes being chased by goblins and trolls, a dragon breathing fire behind a party of knights, and even a garden of lights with fairies flying through it. It's all fun and whimsical stuff. My idea was to incorporate this into my wedding. The guests would choose whatever background they liked from a catalog that my friend and I put together, and Bree or her teammate would take pictures of them throughout the day. These pictures would be uploaded electronically and then edited by her after the wedding. Participation in this activity would be mandatory for all guests who wanted to take part, so I could use the pictures for postcards and scrapbooking. I assumed that most guests would want to participate since most of the people invited are extremely rambunctious and love activities involving silliness. I want to make it clear that these would not be the only pictures taken at the wedding. There would still be traditional photos of the ceremony itself, as well as framed pictures of my husband and me along with the wedding party that would have no green screen. A few days after he proposed, my fiance asked me if I'd feel comfortable with him inviting Brittany to the wedding as a groomswoman. Honestly, I was fine with it, until the topic of her hair came up. In the year or so that he had reconnected with her, she cut and dyed her hair lime green with cool undertones and highlights. I honestly really like it. It suits her facial structure extremely well. However, I was worried about how her hair would interact with the green screen, so I invited her to my friend's home a while later to see if the screen would blend with her hair. Unfortunately, it did. In the pictures, there was a major glitch with every background we tried because of her hair. I asked my friend if there was a way to edit around it, and she said there was, but it would incur an extra cost because it would take significantly more time to go through and possibly edit multiple photos of her with groups of people so that they wouldn't glitch. I'm very against this since our budget needs to be semi-perfect. We are accounting for accidents and issues, but not extra money going to my friend's business because of one woman's choice of hair dye blending too well with the green screen. While I do love her hair, I asked if she'd wear a wig to the wedding so she could still be included in the green screen pictures. I even offered to get it professionally done and pay for it. This is when she became very angry with me. To sum up what she said, her being asked to wear a wig was basically me saying I wanted to cover herself. She claimed her hair was an expression of herself and that she loved it. I told her that I loved it as well, but in order for her to be included, she would need to wear a wig, as the green in her hair cannot just be covered up with a hat or other headwear. She has been saying that I just don't want to include her in the wedding. As a compromise against the wig, I proposed that she get more pictures of herself having fun taken at the wedding itself instead of the green screen. She didn't like this idea because she claims it isn't fair that all the other guests get to be in a fun picture while she's the only one not allowed. Though I sort of agree with her, it isn't my fault. So I offered that she pay for the extra editing costs to take and edit more of her pictures. At first, she was fine with the idea, until I mentioned that the extra editing would cost around $100 for just a single picture to be taken and edited by my friend, with the final price depending on how many photos she ended up in on the green screen. Then she declined the offer and tried to throw it in my face that Bree's prices were outrageous. I disagreed with her sentiment about the prices, and I haven't spoken to her since then. Throughout this whole ordeal, my fiancé has been on my side, but he has been upset over her possibly not being there. While he does agree with me about not wanting to pay more for just her, as well as that she's being overdramatic, he has sympathy for her being the only person left out of this choice activity. While I also have sympathy, I just don't see an alternative here. We can't use a blue screen over a green screen because the wedding colors are blue, red, and orange. And I don't wish to pay for a new screen for my friend's business just because of one person. The alternatives I've come up with, she has shot down. So my final decision was to ask him to disinvite her from the wedding to avoid further drama if she did not want to wear a wig. After long discussions between us, he agreed and sent her a message saying that she would be disinvited entirely but would be welcome to celebrate with us after our honeymoon had ended. They met up soon afterward, and he stayed firm on the matter despite her crying and still refusing to do anything about her hair. She believes that my asking her to do this is due to some power imbalance and that I just want to bully her, which I don't think I'm doing. She has a year to think it over. I can tell this situation bothers him though, and I've addressed it a few times. Each time I have, he says it is for the best, as she would ruin the photos she was in with the green screen and could cause us to delete hundreds of pictures purely based on her actions. I agree, but it still bothers me that I might be doing something wrong, especially since after this incident, her mom and dad reached out to scold me for abusing my power against their daughter at one of the biggest events she's ever been invited to. Even my friends are split on the issue. All of them have sympathy for her, but some say I'm an asshole because I won't just let her come to the wedding and have someone block her from taking any pictures with the green screen. Just to set the record straight, I am not trying to force her to change her hair in any way. I do not want her to dye it differently, nor would I expect her to. I simply want a non-green wig put on her head for the wedding and then she can remove it afterward. Normally, I would say that she could take it off after the green screen portion, but I'm still deciding whether I'm going to let it stay up for the entire day of the wedding or if I'm going to hold other activities for everyone and have Bree close down the photo setup. Again, the wedding isn't for another 2 years, so I have at least a year to think it over. I don't know. Am I the jerk? User Judging A-Holes said, I'm not sure why this is an issue right now. You said the wedding isn't for another 2 years. It's very likely that she would have changed her hair within that time anyway. Now that you've made a big deal out of it, she probably won't change it at all. But if you had just not said anything, it's likely her hair would have changed before the wedding. To this, OP said, I totally forgot to add this to the post, but she isn't planning to change her hair anytime soon. Her hair will remain green for the next 2 years, as she already has touch-up appointments booked and paid for because bright dye like that fades too quickly. That's mainly the reason it's an issue now. She's made it clear to my fiance that she doesn't want to change her hair to something more boring, even though I never said she had to change it to something boring. She could wear a hot pink spiked wig with a pirate hat, and I'd be thrilled to include her in the green screen activity. User Susan Barron said, YTA. This should have been titled, Should I Make My Husband's Childhood Friend Wear a Wig on My Wedding Day? Even though I only started planning it 2 months ago and it's not going to be for 2 years, I need her to agree to my selfish demands now. You wrote such a long post to portray yourself as a victim of her. Get over yourself. User Baru said NTA. It's your wedding, not a conversation with her. You're not abusing your power. It's your wedding. She doesn't have any say in the matter, and what she would prefer doesn't matter. You're fully within your rights to have said, because of what you did in the past, you're no longer welcome in our lives. Moving past that is a gift on your part, not an obligation you have to meet. You offered ample alternatives. She can wear a wig or not be in green screen photos or pay to fix the green screen photos she messed up. She is a guest at your wedding. It isn't her birthday party. You've been far more patient and given far more consideration than you need to, and far more than I ever would. She can enjoy every other part of the wedding and festivities other than appearing in green screen photos. Her expectation to be catered to at your wedding, not her wedding, in this way is ridiculous. It's 2 years away. She can choose to have her hair dyed differently leading up to the wedding and switch back. Or pick a wig that still displays her personality but doesn't interfere. This isn't that far removed from her throwing a tantrum because you're ordering a chocolate cake when her preference is vanilla. Update. I honestly didn't think I'd post an update at all this year because I mostly got the confirmation I needed to know I was correct in my assumption that she'd cause more drama at the wedding than necessary and that I would be okay to disinvite her. I was trying to be detailed in that post, but in this one I'm going to be a little less detailed. Basically, 3 days ago, I received my post on Messenger from Brittany. She is a notorious Reddit lurker, apparently, and I saw it a few hours after it was posted. It didn't even need to get multiple upvotes because she just reads the ones available in the recent category. I told her I posted because I had a lot of inner conflict regarding my fiance's choice to disinvite her if she couldn't make some form of sacrifice to not be in the green screen photos or wear a wig so she could be included. She got extremely mad at me, called me names, and threatened that I'd be sued for defamation, etc. This honestly just made me realize how little she has actually changed. Of course, I showed my fiance and he was appalled at her actions. He said he was going to block her and he did so that day. I did too. Yesterday, I woke up to 43 missed calls from a number I did not recognize, which turned out to be hers, along with a dozen voicemails claiming that I was stealing my fiance away from her again and that I had purposefully targeted her for just wanting to be included with everyone else. I do not know how she got my number, but I obviously blocked it. After that, I reported her to the police on the non-emergency line because I didn't know if I needed to fear for my safety. I am really glad I did this. After my fiance left for work, she showed up at our home and knocked on the door. I cracked a window near the door and asked what she wanted. She said while crying that I needed to let her in because it was her right to be with my fiance, not me. She started kicking at the door and I told her to knock it off. Immediately, I started dialing the non-emergency police number for my nearest precinct because I already knew what was happening in that moment, and I was supposed to be clocking in for work on my computer. I texted my boss, and she excused my absence for the day as well. As I was doing this, I kept repeating, "Go away, I've called the police, and I do not want you here. You are trespassing." She was saying all kinds of things I don't wish to repeat here, but some of the lesser things she said included calling me a white racist pig, claiming she was 8 months pregnant with my fiance's baby, screaming that she would take me to hell, trying to break my metal outside door but instead hurting herself, and so on. Basically, she had a full-on meltdown. The police came, saw that she was trying to break my door down, and immediately put her in cuffs and sat her down. She was claiming this was her house and that she'd lived there for 10 years, that I had broken in and locked her out, etc. Of course, because of her psychotic appearance, I was questioned, and once I explained the real story and provided proof that I was the owner of the home, she was taken to the police station. As far as I'm aware, she was booked for the night and was let go today. I did agree to a temporary no-contact order, and my fiance and I are going to proceed with a permanent one. Her parents called after they heard she was put in a holding cell and apologized profusely. Apparently, Brittany had lied to them about the extent of her actions and downplayed a lot of it. On the exterior, she seemed fine and well-rounded, but mentally, she had snapped again from not taking her meds for a year. She never told her parents this. She just acted normally until one of her triggers came back. My fiance. No, he didn't do anything wrong. She just had a major trigger when it came to him because of a deeply obsessive personality disorder. I wasn't trying to air her dirty laundry about her medical history in the last post, but she was diagnosed with BPD and several other disorders caused by trauma she endured in her childhood from her great-grandfather. She's an unhealthy person, and I regret even allowing her to think that we had forgiven her for her past. I'm pretty shaken from this ordeal, and I can't believe this was all because of a goddamn green screen and some pictures that were supposed to be treated as silly holiday cards for my foreseeable future. This is making me rethink the idea altogether, to be completely honest. Maybe I'll just rent an adult bounce house because that seems more fun than green screen professional photography. Anyways, that's the update. Thanks for reading and for the advice I received in the last post. This next story was made by a user named OK Preparation. The post is titled, "My best friend accidentally sent me a text about secretly hating me, 20, and my best friend, 21, and I have been friends since high school. Now, we are part of the same college friend group. Friday night, everyone was hanging out together like we typically do on the weekends. I had one drink and my best friend had 3 to 4 drinks before we went back to her house. Everything was totally normal. I wasn't exactly planning to stay the night, but she pleaded with me and said we could get breakfast in the morning if I stayed. I obliged, and she told me she was going to sleep alone in her room so that she could call her long-distance boyfriend. After telling each other I love you goodnight and giving hugs, I went to sleep in the guest room. About 20 minutes later, I received a text from her that read, 'She's staying in the guest room, so I don't want to shit talk her too loudly.' I responded with a simple huh, and received another longer text complaining about how she just can't figure out a respectful way to get rid of me. It was probably around 2:45 a.m. at this point, but I packed up all of my things and snuck out the back door. The next morning, she sent me a voice memo apologizing and saying that she was drunk and meant to text her boyfriend, but that I'm just not that fun anymore and we've grown apart. My heart is broken. It feels wrong to bring it up to anyone else in our group of friends. So I've spent the last few days grieving and trying to remind myself that I'm only 20 and can still bounce back and find new friends. Unfortunately, my 21st birthday is in a few weeks, and now I fear I won't have anyone to spend it with. I guess posting this and venting anonymously online to a bunch of strangers might help. I'm not sure, but while I wait for my emergency therapy appointment tomorrow, any advice is appreciated." User Adrian said, "Convincing you to stay just to act frustrated that you won't leave is such strange behavior. I don't know about her normal behavior outside of this incident, but that sounds like the type of person who will twist anything to make themselves sound like the wronged party. There's no reasoning with those types at all." To this, OP said, "I agree. I was very much caught off guard. An hour before, we were talking about planning a trip for spring break. There were no fights, no arguments, and no weird vibes at all beforehand." User No Ad said, "She's pretty weird for insisting you stay, telling you she loves you, and then complaining behind your back. Odds are she's been doing it for years now. Grieving a friendship is sometimes harder than a breakup. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I highly recommend that if she tries to come back, you don't let her." User 22 Ghost said, "I have been in your shoes before, so see me as your older sister, giving you advice. Move on from this friendship with her. It will hurt like hell, but after a while, you'll pick yourself up again. Trust me, it might take some time to make new friends, but you'll find even more amazing friends who wouldn't do stupid things to lose someone as incredible as you. Know your worth and just be yourself. People will love you for that. And if not, screw them and move on." Update. I want to begin by thanking you all for the love and support on my first post. People have been asking me to update, and I wasn't sure exactly how to do so, but hopefully this works. Last night, I went to my now ex-friend's house to pick up some items I left during my rushed exit the other night. My ex-friend is visiting family out of state for Thanksgiving, so she wasn't present. However, one of her roommates was there, and we ended up having a little chat about what happened. R and I are pretty close, so I felt comfortable telling her what happened. She was just as shocked and confused when reading through the messages and assured me that I did nothing wrong. She also promised me that everyone else in our friend group loves me and wants me around, regardless of what my ex-friend may think. She told me that she's going to sit down with my ex-bestie when she gets home and call her out on her BS. I do feel pretty guilty about potentially turning the friend group away from my ex-bestie, but I'm choosing to let her actions speak for themselves. I still plan on taking a little step back from everyone else in the group though. As much as I truly love my other friends, I know that after this, I won't feel safe enough to come around all the time and truly be myself. I think it's going to take me some time before I can be around everyone without overanalyzing my every move. I'm a big overthinker and people pleaser, so I know that in the next few interactions with everyone, I'll be laser focused on whether or not I'm being fun enough, which wouldn't be very fun for me. As for my birthday, I'll be spending it with family, as many of you suggested.